All right, I just finished The Shadow of the Torture, which is halfway through this volume, which itself is halfway through. I think there's four parts to this, right? And it's a Dying Earth novel, so I knew that going into it. And Dying Earth novels or stories often have this quality that is so rich in world building. It's Dying Earth, so it's like they're uh, often they can see artwork and technology from our world that we would recognize it as certain things, but they kind of have other words for it and maybe don't understand all of its uses. So there's a lot of that in there, and a lot of the fun in this was picking out the picking out that sort of thing. Like when they would have one example is a golden visor on this knight that they're talking about a picture, and he's holding a flag. He doesn't have a sword, and he has this suit of armor on this big desert plain of and you can assume maybe what this person Severian is looking at. Um, I won't go into the plot because you can find that, and I want to make it short. But just in general, I've read things like The Dying Earth. I'm not finished this, but I really like it, and it's obtuse as well. It's very obtuse and more about world building and interesting ideas. And I have to say, I like Jack Vance. I like The Dying Earth from Jack Vance more than this, but I'm going to have to take another run at this because in some ways it felt like I was in like a 3D movie and I forgot my 3D glasses, so I was kind of squinting to find what people were loving. Like it was easy enough to kind of follow the general plot, and there were some interesting things in the subtext of he's talking about this or he's talking about this, but that really wasn't enough to kind of make me as interested, which I was surprised because I thought this would be exactly for me. But again, I'm going to take another run at this in a few months. I don't know. I don't know if Gene Wolfe is like. It seemed like very Catholic, uh, with a lot of things that maybe if I knew more about that, maybe I would have gotten a little bit more. But I know this isn't. This isn't like a lot of people can enjoy this and do enjoy this. But it did feel like a lot of the times things were kind of going over my head, in some ways. I thought it was interesting. It had all the kind of weird, zany, different cultures that feel very foreign that are present in a dying earth, and I do like that. So it does give me enough to want to take another run at it before going into the second part. I think in a few months I'll reread that first part. I don't know if I really enjoyed my time with it. Uh, But it was interesting, and I'm glad I've done it. And I do want to try again, maybe after I've read a little bit more of, or maybe watch some videos of what other people got out of it, and maybe I'll have my 3D glasses back on because I thought there must be something I'm missing here that people are just loving. Because I don't exactly love his writing style, and I know that's what people love. It was very it felt a little performative in the way that it was just kind of very obtuse in some ways and just not straightforward. I would kind of prefer to read stories where I don't know. Like I like deep, rich prose. Um, but I don't know. I don't know what it was about this one that I just didn't connect with it in the same way that a lot of people are connecting with. The unreliable narrator made it tricky also where I was thinking, "Oh, where's he getting this wrong?" And that was interesting, but maybe it just wasn't the right time yet. Uh, we'll see. We'll see. It was dense, it was obscure, unreliable narrator. The pacing was a little weird in it, but I mean, it's a Dying Earth novel, so I can kind of forgive it for that because I do like that sort of thing sometimes. It's very interesting. Very interesting. I went in quite blind, like not going to videos or reviews about really what, or in depth sort of discussions. And I do wonder what it is that people really, really adore about this. So if you are one of those people, feel free to let me know in the comments. I am very curious. I'm not down on the book in a way where I think it's a bad book. I'm down on it in a way where I thought I just don't maybe I'm just maybe not connecting with it in a way that other people are, which is, and maybe it's because they're seeing something totally different than I'm seeing. I assume you could probably use this as an allegory in a number of ways. Uh, and maybe that's where people find interest in it, in offering their interpretation of what it means. And I can see that totally being a valid way of liking it. But, you know, I'm in these Stephen King novels lately, and these are just not as obscure. They are so the narration and the prose is so in the background where you just forget about it and you're just there for the story. Now there may be allegory and depth in the story itself, but not so much in the specific wording of each sentence where you just slow down and pull it apart. Which I often like to do, but in this case, it just didn't quite work for me in the way that I thought it was going to be like my favorite book of the year, and it wasn't, which is fine. Again, I'll go back to it and I'll give it another go soon. I am reading the Little Sisters of Illyria, which is the side story before the Gunslinger of Roland. He goes into this town and it's basically deserted. Finds a dog eating a rotten leg, and well, now I'm talking about a totally different thing. It's interesting. I like it so far. And at the same time, once I'm done that, I'm also plugging away at the Talisman. And after that, unless I have some other side diversion somewhere, then I'll go into the Drawing of the Three for book 2 of the Dark Tower, after I've had a few of these, 4 of these side diversions before going from book 1 to book 2. So anyway, talk to you guys later. Bye.